Hello everyone and welcome to a bit of a different video. I know it's been a while, things have been crazy here, so I'm trying to put out content where I can, but I'm being consistent posting content in one place, and that is my Simstagrams. So I kind of wanted to introduce you to my households. So this video is going to be me showing you our Not So Berry challenge. I'll let you know what's happening, give you the rundown, and then I will link said Simstagram below if you want to keep up to date with the story. And then probably every couple of gens I'll do another one of. This is basically a current household video that I used to do, but like kind of. This sim is our Mint Gen sim, who you may recognize. If you don't know, I tried to do the Not So Berry challenge here on YouTube a while ago. Didn't go so well. And then I did a speed run video, which if you look at any of my cast videos in my cast playlist, it is, I believe, the thumbnail of said cast playlist where I speed ran it in cast. Because I love generational challenges, but it was always really hard to keep going. But Instagram has given me this new found challenge of like writing stories, which is something I haven't done in a really long time, but like I'm slowly realizing I like doing again, but I digress. So this was our Gen 1 sim. Technically still is. She's still alive. We just don't see her that much because currently we are in the midst of like swapping between Rose Gen and Yellow Gen, so it's what it do. But this is our Mint Gen, Mint Berry, spelled with Y because I'm what? Quirky. And we have fully completed her challenge, which is why we don't see her that much anymore. But this is her. She has gone through many reiterations, but as she has gotten older, I decided to cut her hair because I don't know, that just makes the most sense to me for The Sims. Is you don't really see many elders in real life with really long hair, but that's because hair gets brittle the older you get. Like, I digress. But this is her. She was very casual plus. So like classy casual. So she had the jeans, but like this is a very cute top. And if you know me in The Sims, I tend to do I tend to do the same thing every single time I start a Let's Play. Is I tend to go for the same baby daddy. And it happened to be Jules Rico because The Sims made the mistake of giving Jules romance with Bessie over there. I don't remember what her name is. I think it starts with a B. They gave them romance, but never like actually established a relationship. So I'm like, hey, free game. It's like Makoa without without strings attached. Yeah. So I tend to go for Jules a lot cuz everybody always talks about Makoa. Where is the love for Jules? He's gorgeous. Come on. Gen 1, I wasn't really doing storytelling yet. I wasn't really interested in it. I didn't find it until I started following a lot of like other accounts. So our Gen 1 was fairly short. It was just me going through the motions of playing the game. Basically, Mint had a rough day at work. I had Simsda in my game at the time, which is basically Tinder but for The Sims. And her and Jules hooked up. But she got pregnant almost immediately after it. And they're like, hey, let's both take care of this baby together. And then in my game was rushing me more than I was, I will let you know. I got the, hey, do you need money? Get married for it. And they did need money, so they got married for it while she was pregnant. And the first baby that we had is Ruby Berry. And if you can see the traits, you'll see she ends up being our Gen 2 heir. But we ended up having her. Usually when I do legacies, I usually only pick the last sim to be our heir, but she made the most sense to have as our heir. Just like story-wise and just the way she was acting in my game was very hot-headed Rose Gen sim. And then after Ruby, I wanted them to have Okay, I think I just tend to replicate what I know in the real world into my game, because a lot of my Sims always tend to have 3 kids, and I am the third kid in my family, so I tend to always replicate that. So I wanted them to have 3 kids because they just seemed like a very familial type of couple, especially because Gen 2 only has 1 kid, so. The second baby was Jasper Barry, and if you can see, if with your eyes, he is the spitting image of Mint. I don't know what it is about my game that all my female Sims have to look like their fathers, and all of my, like, masculine Sims look like their mothers. I don't understand it. I'm not happy about it. Because, to be completely honest, he was not the best looking teenager. He kind of looked like a fish. But I ended up scrapping this idea. I was gonna do a gender bend on my, like, Cass account. Every time I finished a gen, I did it, but I never posted it. And I gender bent Mint, and I'm like, yo, Mint is a hot ass man sim. What is stopping Jasper from looking this good? So then I gave him a makeover, and I'm gonna say he looked pretty damn fine. So, except in my game, this is I needed to take profile pictures for my family tree. In my game, he has the red hair, but his beard and his eyebrows are brown, just because it looks more natural. Not that having flaming asshole red hair is natural. I do what I can. So, but this is Jasper. I tend to just randomize traits, and I went with it. Especially when it comes to, I think, Maroon and Poppy, because when I made this household in my gallery, they weren't teens yet, so I had to, like, just randomize traits so I could save them to the gallery, so he's fine. Up next is Rooney. Her name is Maroon, and we just call her Rooney. If I'm completely honest, this sim made me rethink my entire Let's Play, because she was starting to fit Rose Gen more than Ruby was, and she's absolutely stunning. Like, her career, her traits, she was starting to fit Rose Gen more, but I had already put so much time into Ruby, so Rooney is the sim that got away. She is very fashionable. She lives, currently, in my game, lives in Del Sol Valley with her husband, Warner. No, his last name's Warner. I don't remember what his first name is. I don't play enough. He is, like, I believe, in my story, I made him a model, and she is the fashion designer. So with Rose Gen usually being a snob, you see what I mean, that Rooney was starting to fit the bill a little bit more than Ruby was, but trust me, I of all people know, and I'm very sad about it. It's okay. Yeah. Don't look. And then the piece de resistance is when you have Wicked Whims in your game. It is known by now that I have it in my game. I literally don't care. I use it for storytelling. Get off my back. That sometimes people will frick when you aren't there. And that resulted in baby number 4 that I was not expecting. If you ever look at my family tree, you will see that. We have Poppy. This is Poppy. Poppy is very cool. Poppy ended up following Jules, sorry. Yeah, ended up following Jules in music. So they're very into the guitar, and I love them very much. Poppy is non-binary because it felt right. They literally just don't care about anything, and I'm like, yo, same. But the darkest out of all of the berries here, and what I wanted to do, there was a little story that it wasn't ever touched on, but, like, visually, if you can see it, I did this to her hair because I kind of wanted to make it, like, clear that she is born with red hair like her siblings, but didn't like it, so she tried to dye it black like her father, and is currently growing it out, is the kind of storyline that I was like secretly. It was like a B line. Technically, it was more like a Z line, like it was all the way farther in the back. If you caught it, you caught it. If you didn't, okay. But that's what her story is. And that was all Gen 1. So let's move on to Gen 2. Okay, so Gen 2 started out when Ruby was a teenager. She had already had a failed relationship with one brother. He was very, not controlling, but very didn't care what she thought. He was very selfish. And during prom, after prom, they got into a big argument, and she confided in his brother, Jacob. And they ended up becoming intimate and resulted in a baby. And everybody was thankful that at least it was with him and not his brother, because everybody's like, the brother's an ass. We do not like him. Get him out of here. But everybody's like, oh my god, he's perfect for you. You guys would make a cute little family. So that got in Ruby's head, and she felt that she needed to marry him. So that's the storyline I went with, is that she felt pressured into marrying him, not by really any family members, but more by herself and just being perceived. For all of my Ruby fans, Ruby is a lesbian, who fell in love with her best friend, her childhood best friend, Kelsey, who we just learned is her actual name is Kushali, but goes by Kelsey because it's easier. And she is the daughter of Arun and Jasminder Bahida from City Living, and they actually met as children. And there was a bit of a kerfuffle where Ruby already like showed her feelings for Kelsey, but was scared of her feelings and started being like lashing out, aka the hot-headed trait, which is why I said that, oh, Ruby makes sense for Rose Gen. But they split for a little bit, and then finally they like reconnected, and when Ruby and Jacob were going to get married, her feelings just started overflowing, and she's like, I can't do this. And he's like, is it something I did? She's like, no, I'm gay. He's like, oh damn, shit. But good news is they stayed very close friends for their daughter, and they're actually very like into each other's family lives. It's very wholesome and cute, because one thing I love is I love taking the route the road less traveled, because the reason I love Simstagram is because you see everybody else's story and you can get inspiration. And I was seeing a lot of people with their Rose Gens canceling their marriages because the guy was an asshole, and then they never talked to each other again. And I really liked the idea of them separating amicably and end up staying like best of friends, that they're like twin flames, platonic soulmates type of thing. And that's what I ended up doing. So then we have a bit of a time skip, and Jacob ends up getting with Peyton here. And if Peyton looks familiar to you, you will not see the video yet. It'll be out in the second video. If Peyton looks familiar to you, technically, she should look familiar to you anyway if you saw my 1 base 8 Sims challenge. I really like her, so I kind of used her twice, but like tweaked her a little bit enough so that she didn't look identical in either series. But Jacob ends up getting with Peyton. Peyton also really wants a big family, so it's why they get along very well. And this all stemmed from the fact that I knew the infant update was coming, but it ended up coming out way after the storyline happened, that I wanted Yellow Gen to have more kids surrounding her, but Rose Gen can only have 1 kid, so I kind of found a loophole and kind of like abused the hell out of it. So Peyton and Jacob end up having 3 kids. I can't show them because I don't feel like it. And after the infant update, one of them broke. He didn't break, it's just a lot of the CC that was on him broke. And instead of keeping it, I just removed it and didn't realize it was on him. Like, don't look too much into it. But they ended up having 3 kids, 2 girls, one boy. And one of them is the closest you can get to Yellow Jen without breaking the rules, because Yellow Jen can't have any kids until the grandparent passes away. So she's kind of close with her siblings, but still very kept to herself. And it's very cute. I love this little family dynamic because they go to each other for everything. Ruby and Kelsey actually got engaged at their wedding via their suggestion. Ruby helped Jacob find a way to propose to Peyton. It was very cute. They were very involved with each other. It's just, I love this little family. Kelsey wanted to have her own baby. Again, another way that I was abusing the loophole that I found is Kelsey wanted a baby. Ruby's like, I don't want any more. Having Yellow was enough on me. I don't want it. She's like, okay, but it was something biologically that she just really wanted to do. So they had Jacob be a donor for Kelsey's baby. I will insert a picture here. This is little Suvarna. We call her Sivy. And very cute, right? Recently, Kelsey and Ruby broke up. Very, very abruptly. Via Ruby's perspective. But Kelsey here has a very traditional background. They were not supportive when she tried to come out, because she's also a lesbian, and they were not supportive of that at all, so she left. But the current storyline that we have going right now is she went to the city to go shopping with little Sivy and ran into her parents, and they're like, you're not gay anymore, are you? And she's like, trying to avoid the question, because family is very important to her. It's why she wanted to have a baby, but it pains her so much that her family just doesn't get her. So, yes, she has an amazing found family in Ruby and the Maloritos, but you know there's something about your biological family and she obviously is not healed at the moment, and she's really still trying to be good for them. And they saw she had a baby. They're like, you better not have this baby out of wedlock, which technically she did, but it was powerful woman doing powerful woman things. And they're like, she lied and said, oh, I had a husband, but he died. And they're like, oh no, you poor baby, move on with us. She's like, no, I'm fine. They're like, no, move in with us. Because she was going to be like, no, I'm fine, and then never talk to them again. But her father, very strong-willed man, is like, you're moving in with us. And she's like, well, shit. So then she, lashed out at Ruby and broke up. And so they split. And then that kind of sent Ruby into a spiral. And you may be going, it was such a cute family, why did you break it? If you don't know anything about the Not So Berry Challenge, one of the rules for Rosegen is you can't get married as an elder. And they got engaged adulthood. They're disaster lesbians. They're not gonna last until elderhood to get married, okay? So I had to separate it. And you have to finish the serial romantic aspiration with Rosegen. And when she got with Kelsey, you have to have had you were supposed to have had 8 boyfriends or girlfriends. Ruby had 6. And my thought process was, Kelsey could at least be the 8th. So, like, they split up now. There needed to be a 7th. So that's currently where we're at. I believe this video is going to go up after Soleil has aged up. Yes, our yellow gem is named Soleil, which is French for yellow. I just really liked it, and I feel like it fit. We call her Soul, Soleil, Sunny. and this is her currently at the moment. Very preppy, very into her studies. Yes, this is a young adult Soleil. She is older in my game. We are a little ways into Yellow Gen in my game versus story-wise. As a teen, she's very preppy into her work. After Ruby and Kelsey broke up, Ruby ended up taking a job in Mount Cabaret. Ruby ended up taking a job in Mount Kobarebi, and Soleil, very hurt, did not want to leave her family at all. Well, she was fine kind of leaving her family because she felt left out because Kelsey had a baby and then left. At least that's what happened in her eyes. Her dad has 3 kids, and she kind of feels left out there. But her grandma means a lot to her, and she did not want to leave her because in my mind, Mount Kobarebi is like the furthest away from everything in the entire world. Because a lot of the towns, a lot of the cities seem very America, and Mount Komorebi is like obviously Asian. So to me, that's like very far away. So whereas originally they were living in Britechester. I watch too many British people. They were living in Britechester, and that to me is close to Oasis Springs and Willow Creek. So she could still visit Mint all she wanted to in Oasis Springs. Yes, it was like a couple hours away, but they could still visit. She did not want to leave her at all, knowing that that is her best friend, but also Mint is getting older and didn't want to leave her. So after Ruby and Soul fought, Ruby's like, I don't want to hurt you anymore, and felt that it was the best case and gave Soul to Mint. And so currently, she is living with Mint, very studious, very a science-run household because Soul's kind of following in her grandmother's footsteps. So currently, right now, at the moment, she is just very preppy and into her schoolwork. I will give you a little surprise if you want. If you don't, click away. Eventually, Mint has to die, and then that's when she can, go out and make friends. To me, this is gonna hit her very hard, and it ends up resulting in a style change. She ends up becoming very punk and, like, just alt, basically. Because, emo, emotional. So I figured it made the most sense. And I just really like this style for this gen. So this is where she's supposed to end up, but this is where she is currently in our story. Yeah, so I will probably do another one of these for my Not So Berry challenge, probably after Gray Gen, if you're interested. And if you're interested, please comment which gen that I currently have that you like the most. I'm really excited. I will be doing another current household video in the next week or so because, like I said, I have 2 Simstagrams. This one is solely based on the Not So Berry challenge. It's what's got me. It's literally what got me into running Simstagrams. And then my second one, which you'll be seeing like next week, is just my like regular generational storytelling. Because after doing Not So Berry, I'm like, I want to do so many stories. And I want to write my own without being confined in the rules of the challenge. So I ended up making a separate one so that I can just do my own stories. And I like that one too. So that one won't be as in depth because I'm not as far. Because like, I think I started it like midway through Rose Gen, but I hope you're excited. I really love doing this. So if you want to see these stories unfold, make sure to go check out the description and follow my Simstagrams, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye!